talking with Reza, I was thinking, if the title of the exhibition name was not Crossfire, maybe strategically, because it's state policy, you exactly understand what you are talking about. If you give a very different name, they will have a really hard time to track the exhibition out, what is going on. So I don't know, strategically that decision
what you're saying is very important, because you can access these also options of how you want to deal with the issue. Not even maybe we talk about the technical issues later, but I think really about the message that you want to vehiculate. What you're saying is very important. It's like you can do an exhibition talking about the same thing, but maybe in a slightly less, not obvious, but less direct way, and get the same message out.
The choices of the images were not direct. It's interesting that the title was so direct.
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry. There's a contradiction between there's a contradiction between the attempt inside the exhibition to be very exploratory, descriptive, in terms of
symbolic as well.
Symbolic, poetical, political, instead of
intimate.
Direct, and to recreate a mood of inquiétante. Comment on dit inquiétante?
Disquieting.
Inquiétante, mood, and that the poster of the exhibition, which has one of these images, says directly what the whole exhibition has been turning around without naming in a way.
But that's true to one way. If you look at it from a different point of view, for general people, if you say the word crossfire, and then if you have the image of a field with a very bright green color, from a general perspective, they don't get it. They don't understand what the hell is going on. Why on this beautiful landscape this crossfire was silk. So in terms of image, what she was saying is exactly right. It's very symbolic, to some extent it's very poetic, and it's not direct. But you put a name of the exhibition which is more like, like direct clash. So I don't know what was the strategical decision.
Well, it's attractive. It raises your curiosity, and that's interesting. If it does that, if you want to know more, if you don't understand, that you go in to find out. It works for that.
It works, but also I think, sorry, just to the final comment. What for me is interesting is that crossfire that becomes, as a very evident sort of monolithic message that also becomes charged by, I suppose, a sort of tension, because if it's used in that way, also there can be an escalation in terms of tension of the social political situation around it, the message, and the consequences of it. Was it a conscious decision by Shaidur to use this also as a strategy or branding, of the message vis-a-vis of a communication of the exhibition in this in the Bangladeshi context? Do you understand?
Yes.
And
in the land at present. So, I mean, that means that there are certain things that have to be in this. Do you remember the exact quotation? It goes on like it implies that if there are things in the land that cannot go to trial, it means that there are things in the land that have to be accepted as having to have some kind of extra legal solution. And that is an absurdity in the world today. I mean, how can you say, if you have a constitution, that there are certain things that have to be dealt with outside the law? It's really absurd. And that's one of the quotations that is in the show. And I think that Shahidul really wanted that out, that kind of contradiction. And if you look at the Crossfire logo, the Crossfire for the exhibition, it's a design that suggests a gun. In fact,
but don't you think that it's reiterating already like the statement? I mean, the word is already like crossfire, so it's related to.
Yes, but when you see the image, you are not things are not being explained. Because if you saw the image of Crossfire, if you saw a logo, a red logo on a black ground, and the logo had the shape of a gun, and you saw an image of the obvious, a dead body with wounds, then you would know exactly what you're walking into. And that would
Which
just
you
mean,
didn't.
oh yes, and if you had put the obvious on the poster, then you wouldn't have had a chance of thinking, of dreaming, if even that you would be able to
Yeah.
open a show.
Yeah, but then I think, sorry,
No,
maybe you
you
can
cannot
don't comment. No.
Well, I just want to bring the issue that is already has been just discussion. Who were actually the audience of the show? Because since the exhibition was very much symbolic, and for us, I mean, for general audience, how much it is communicated? Because Crossfire events and a lot of newspapers they publish the dead bodies, and also there are a lot of TV shows that showed some of the raid, and some of the show actually the name of the shows are like Crime Watch and things like that, but that shows didn't show the Crossfire event, but they follow certain group of RAB officials, how they raid and how they detect and how they detect criminals, things like that. So very clear notion of the audience is the RAB's Crossfire and things like that are very much obvious of that kind of events, killings and raids and other things. So in terms of Drick's audience, I think it's very much obvious that the audience are more kind of intellectuals or photography students. So that's one of my intention to know, was there any targeted audience or not, or was it for the general audience? If it is for the general audience, I think there is a lot of gap of understanding, because even for the poster, that photograph is interpreted by so many different ways,
Which is good.
but the actual information which I got from Shahidul was that photograph was very much interpretive as well as informative. Informative in a sense that it has this individual text, it has individual story, which I don't know how many of you know the.
You go in the exhibition to find out. That's the.
No, I'm especially talking about the poster.
Yeah,
How
same.
many of you know the actual information of the photograph?
You don't need to because you have the title on the photograph.
No, but there is a very
Well, you want to tell the
interesting
story.
information. It's not only the paddy film.
Yeah, I don't know.
প্রস্তাবের জন্য হচ্ছে একজনকে নিয়ে যাচ্ছিল, এনকাউন্টারের একটা জায়গা ছিল ওইটা।
Next.
Can you translate?
He is saying that place was sort of a place where the people was taken for Crossfire encounter. Anybody else who know more about that specific photograph or poster?
Yes, I think Fariha knows